Hello and welcome to tonight's edition of Majority Caucus. My name is Ali Dawood with the show, and tonight we will be talking about those who have been, if you like, preparing the grounds for a coup to take place, or a possible coup d'etat to take place, and what the security institution is doing to make sure that such act of violence is nipped in the bud. Also on the topic for tonight's discussion is the so-called appointment of inexperienced young ministers or young deputy ministers, whether or not it is true that the position of young deputy ministers have been cheapened. We'll look at these two issues quickly. But before we delve into the discussion, or even I introduce my guest, I have this very important announcement for the viewers and the users of multi-TV Digibox. It says that, dear valued customer, if you are experiencing unsynchronized video and audio signals, please switch off your box from the mains and switch back again after a minute. If the problem persists, you can call multi-TV on 03022111680. It dials continuously to 5, which means that you can call on 03022111680, 681, 682, 683, 684, 685. And so that's the message for the customers or the cherished users and viewers of multi TV. Tonight I have in the studio Murtala Mohammed, who is the recently just vetted earlier today for Deputy Information Minister's position, and also a Member of Parliament for Nanton. Also in the studio is Murtala is also a member of Government Communication Team, by the way. And we also have, for the first time in our studio, Sakud. Let me take my time because he comes from a very, very big family, so let me be careful with the pronouncement of his name. Sakud Amenga Etigo. Sakud Amenga Etigo. He is a ghost writer by profession. For those of you who are in the world of publishing and writing, you know what a ghost writer is. So he has occupied many other positions, but he has restricted me to just that one. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time here.
Thank you.
Sakud, let me start with you. We would first of all tackle the issue of appointing so-called uninitiated deputy ministers. I have heard, I think it's Dr. Steve Mantiao, whose argument largely is that, hey, gentlemen, these are crucial times in Ghana. You need, able hands. You need experienced people. This is not the time to appoint the likes of Murtala, with all apologies. He doesn't believe that they can do the work. Is that a thought that you share?
Absolutely not. I mean, as a youth activist, I like to make it obviously clear that I speak from the point of making the case for the youth. I'm a young man, but I think I won't be surprised if that person who made that statement is in the older brackets. And therefore his thinking is that of the older generation's thinking. Why do I say that? I mean, experience is important, and I've heard this argument from many people who have said that many of the young people who have been appointed don't have experience. But these days, when they go for interviews, they don't do experience test. They do aptitude test. What is aptitude? Aptitude is your quickness in learning, your ability to learn. And these days, problems are not solved by experience. You see, when we didn't have access to information readily, people solve problems by their experience, what they may have gone through in the past. Now, people solve problems by just looking for the information. So, yes, experience may be important, but young people have the ability to learn very quickly and very fast. And your experience in the past may not even be related to any job that you may be doing today. I'm sure Honorable Murtala here may have done a couple of things outside of politics and communication. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's what he has to bring to come and do this job as Deputy Information Minister. perhaps what he requires, maybe his talent, maybe his skills, which he doesn't require his age to acquire if he's naturally talented communicator and can communicate government information. He doesn't have to be 60 years or 70 years. Don't also forget that the job of running a nation don't just require experience but energy. You need some energy to be able to, and don't forget that we need a sense of urgency. We are growing, they say we are now in lower level middle income economy.
Yeah.
When you are a growing nation, you need that kind of energy and aggression, which comes from young people. So people may be able to just make a case of experience for older people. But with younger people, you can make many arguments. And you can look at it all over the world. I mean, it's not as if we are isolated. If younger people is what business people are looking for, or businesses, big companies around the world are looking for younger people to become leaders in their organizations, why not government? Why not politics?
But Saku, the argument is that, gentlemen, for instance, there are strikes upon strikes. It looks like there's too much labor agitation going on in the country, and this is not the time for experimentation. You don't appoint people who have no idea about how to deal with labor dispute. You need experienced people. Simple.
But that's a very good point you have made, and that even emphasizes my point more. Because listen, if you look at our demographics, more than 50%, I can even say over 60% of our people are young people below the age of 30 years. So do you need people in leadership who are able to empathize and think along the lines of these people? Or do you need people who are cut off entirely? All these doctors who are making these agitations, and go to the universities now, apart from a few professors who are grey-haired and old, many of the lecturers now are young people. I'm sure Mutala can testify to that. The doctors, many of them are young people. People who are below 25 years are doctors today. If you have a young minister who probably even went to school with them and empathize with them and understand their language, they may be able to cooperate even better.
But there's wisdom in grey hair.
But don't forget that wisdom comes from information through knowledge. And it's not as if when you are old, it's synonymous with wisdom. I know many old people who are not wise. It's not as if I'm wise enough to determine who is wise. But I also know many young men that I listen to them and I said, this guy is wise. Why? Because he's informed. And information gives you knowledge and then gives you wisdom. So it's not as if wisdom is restricted to old age in number. Haven't you ever heard that somebody is older than his age? I mean,
appears to be smarter.
A couple of years ago, you were too young to be hosting the show like this. I mean, you remember GBC, all those places, you see old men reading news. But today, what is happening? So I think the people who are making the argument about experience are overstretching the argument. They are completely overstretching it, because it is not just about experience now. The circumstances have changed. It's about people who have an open mind, who have a world view, who are able to empathize and to understand the thinking of the followers, the people who are following them. And don't forget, we have a young president, a very young president. And the young president definitely will appoint people that he is able to, for lack of a better word, to reason on the same level with them.
But he'll be governing not only young people in the country.
But don't forget that this is his team.
Okay.
People around him who are going to form the mastermind to be able to execute the agenda. So are you now going to bring people with a generation gap that when you sit down, you spend all the time, you don't even get to a point because you are looking at the issues from a different worlds? No. So unless it is that we are saying that the older people have a better appreciation of today's problems of younger people than the younger people themselves.
They've gone through life. You haven't.
But well, maybe they have gone through life, but the younger people that are coming to lead may not have gone through the life they have gone through. Okay. And the problems that confront young people today may be problems that the older people are completely oblivious to, because their experiences of the past is different from the young people's experiences of today. So I think it's a very moot argument to say that younger people, especially to make it as a general point, that younger people are too inexperienced and are therefore it's a wrong decision for the president to appoint many young people. I think absolutely that it is a very good decision. Except that, of course, it doesn't mean that you can just pick any young person to lead.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you need to find the finest and talented.
The likes of Honorable Mutala.
Exactly. I'm sure that the president of all the young men, if he chose Mutala to go for information, then something he has seen about him. So to that extent, I'll just say, as opening remarks, that I do vehemently disagree with those who say that there's so much inexperience in the crop of leaders that we are having today. Because for me, inexperience is not a problem at all. Aptitude for me is even more important. Okay. Talent is more important. Skills is more important. And that's what is required to solve today's problem, not experience.
I see. I'll come back to you to talk more about this topic. But Mutala, the argument is that, hey, President Mahama has gradually or has succeeded in chipping away the credibility of the position of deputy ministers. He thinks that, please, Master, you are wasting the state resources. These are people just coming to occupy positions, job for the boys if you like. No competence.
Well, first and foremost, let me say good evening to your cherished viewers, and most especially my people in Nanton.
Northtown. They always watch.
Not Northtown,
Nanton. Nanton? Did I say Northtown?
Yes, you did.
Nanton. By the way, they also watch.
My people in Nanton.
Okay.
And I've heard a lot of people make comments. Some may be justified, some for certain reasons. But it's good for democracy. It's good for democracy because people have the free will to express their convictions on issues. Some will express their convictions on issues genuinely because they have genuine concerns. Others for cheap popularity. Others for being heads of organizations and NGOs and so-called civil society groups that much is not heard about them and they would also want to be heard. There are several reasons why people will make the kind of statements they make. Be it as it may, we need to look at it in perspective. My level 200 psychology tells me that there are different types of ages.
Okay.
We have a biological age, we have educational age, we have chronological age, we have social age, we have educational age, severally.
Football age.
Severally. And football age. Biological age. In fact, what they are talking about has to do with chronological age. Okay. That is the number of years you have spent on earth. Okay? That is what the psychologists will call chronological age. It doesn't matter much even when psychologists are analyzing the different types of ages, to be very sincere with you. When you talk of the biological age, you are talking about the person is at a particular age chronologically by health conditions. How is he like? Is he behaving like someone who is below his age or above his age? Is he healthy? That he can do something that is in line or parallel with his chronological age. When you talk of social age, you are talking about the person's interactions with other people, how he can fit into society. You know, you talk of educational age, you are not just looking at the chronological age, you are looking at the level of education of the person. I think that there are different kinds of ages. If you agree, and per what psychologists describe as different kinds of ages, I don't think the chronological age is so much an important issue. I also agree with people that experience matters. You don't need age to be experienced. You don't. Indeed, someone can be as old as 70 years, has no experience. Or he may have experience in a different field rather than the other. You are a lawyer. Someone who is 90 years, in the making. Someone who is 90 years, who has no knowledge whatsoever about law. He may be chronologically older than you, but you are educationally older than him. Okay. In the field of law. I get in the point I'm making. And we need to look at it in that perspective. So when people sit down and say that young persons, and I ask a simple question, they should be bold enough to tell us. I am referring to Mutala, who I think is inexperienced and who cannot man the affairs of the ministry he's been sent. I'm referring to Okujeto, I'm referring to this. They haven't been able to do that. I think that it would be better if they do that. Again, education that a person has is a part of gathering experience. Because once you are educated, your horizon is broadened. Your understanding and appreciations of things also what? Expands. And that is one thing we need to look at. Yet you find someone, as far as I'm concerned, many of the gentlemen who are appointed and ladies as deputy ministers, some have about 3 masters. Some have about 2, some have PhDs. Now, if it has to do with the longevity in terms of acquiring knowledge and broadening their horizon and their knowledge, I'm wondering what people are talking about. In any case, wisdom doesn't lie in gray. Jesus Christ, at what age did he come with the gospel? I don't think Jesus was up to 50 years. No.
I think around 30.
Muhammad,
40.
Prophet Muhammad,
40.
Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, at what age?
40.
Nkrumah, forget of even religion. Nkrumah, at what age? You think that God didn't know that these people he was sending to mankind, he didn't know about age? And if God knew that wisdom was only in age, I don't think that God would have sent them. God indeed would have sent older people. But God sent them for mankind, considering their ages, not even up to 40 years.
But we live in...
I'm coming. I would come to that. Now, if we sit here today, now someone tells me, Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, at what age did he gain independence for Ghana? Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, I guess, was the youngest among the big six. But at what age did he gain independence? Forget of Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Even President Kufuor got into politics at what age and became a deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, right? At what age? At what age did Rawlings become the leader of the AFRC? And at what age did he become the president of Ghana? I think that we need to look at it in that perspective. Again, if it has to do with age and experience, President Obama should not be the president of the Republic of America today. Indeed, he has been a senator for how many terms? And if you understand the American politics, you would realize that being a senator is absolutely the link from running the state called America, the greatest country in the world. So we are told. Now, if it has to do with age and experience, Obama shouldn't be there. And is anyone telling me that Obama isn't doing well? Now, let's come and look at Britain. Gordon Brown was more experienced than Tony Blair. It is obvious that Tony Blair indeed achieved some successes, except their unjustifiable war in Iraq, in which he was used like I don't know, I mean, I'll just reserve my... Exactly. But I'm saying that he did well. And under even Tony Blair, Africa benefited a lot from the United Kingdom. What did Gordon Brown do? Who was more experienced than Tony Blair? Under his leadership, absolutely, it was shambolic. So I think that this argument should be pushed away. We should absolutely push it away. Wisdom is not in grey. Indeed, you can find grey hair with wisdom. But wisdom doesn't solely lie in grey. And if you are looking at how you can execute the project or the vision of His Excellency the President, he takes into consideration why President Mahama and candidate Nana Addo were they the oldest people in their parties.
No.
The last time I checked, most of the people who are appointed as deputy ministers are members of parliament. And most of us contested parliamentary primaries with people who could be our fathers. Now you had people who are very old in our constituencies who thought it wise to let us represent them, considering the fact that they knew that those who were contesting with were older than us. I think that...
Maybe they thought you would be fine MPs, but not deputy ministers.
No, why? If you can be MP, what prevents you from being a minister? And the Constitution itself is explicit that 50% of ministers must come from Parliament. And I think that the responsibility of even being an MP is monumental as compared to the responsibility of being a deputy minister. Because as a deputy minister, you are coming to support the substantive minister. Now let's ask ourselves one another simple question. President Mills indeed took a bold step in giving young people the opportunity to serve in this country. Somewhere last year, I was having a chat with Mr. Tutubi Kwachi. And he told me, Mutala, I was made a minister by former President Rawlings at the age of 27. And he performed excellently. Comrade Okujeto Nko, Mani Onko performed excellently. You may have problems with them, but as far as I'm concerned, an objective person who would analyze it would tell you that at least they held their own. So this argument for me, we should just forget of it. If it has to do with wanting to be known, if it has to do with wanting to project the association or the group or the organization that you are leading, that is a different matter. Now, if you want to just look at, again, that is why I told you that it's even irrelevant for someone to say that someone is younger. Tell me, are you talking of chronological age, biological age, educational age? And that is why I think they should be bold enough to tell us, this person, we are referring to this deputy minister designate, or this minister designate. That is what we are talking about, so that people can look at it in that perspective. But to come out and say that they have indeed reduced Ghana's challenges, even if President Mahama had appointed professors emeritus as ministers and deputy ministers, the challenges that we are confronted with wouldn't go. Because if you look at the labor unrest, and I stated here yesterday, they are occasioned by the fact that we are implementing single spine. There is no question at all about that. And never in our democratic history have we had this SSS being implemented. And therefore, people see it as an opportunity to do what? As an opportunity to take advantage of the system. And therefore, if you do not agitate and demand yours, you may not have that opportunity to demand any time. I think that we need to move away from this populist politicking. In fact, I see it as a lazy politicking, a lazy analysis of issues, and look at the substance and content of the individuals who are given the opportunity to serve in this government.
But is it fair to say that perhaps all the deputy ministers that have been appointed under President Mills' administration, that there has not been a recorded failure, and for which reason it justifies that there has to be a reenactment of similar strategy under Mahama, i.e. appointing more deputy ministers who are younger, because they all did well, they did so well?
Well, I don't want to mention names. Under NPP, they appointed people who didn't even, I believe that if you talk of education, who didn't even have certificate-less individuals were appointed as ministers in this country. They appointed people who had no experience whatsoever. And you know, some of deputy ministers and subsequently became ministers had no experience whatsoever. We are aware of such appointment. Where were those people? They didn't talk the way they are talking today. So you see, we should be looking at the content, for God's sake. If it has to do with how exposed we are, if it has to do with how broadened we are in terms of analyzing and understanding, not only internal politics, the geopolitics of the continent and the global world. I don't think that those who are making those calls are better than those of us who are appointed as deputy ministers. There's no question at all about that.
Yeah, one would say that perhaps you are a beneficiary of such appointment, so it is obvious that you take the stance that you are
beneficiary of such appointment.
Yes, you are a younger.
I don't know at what age do they describe someone as not being young? To be very honest, I think that
they have been told
exactly. And as a matter of fact, our constitution, the framers of the constitution, we're well aware of the age at which someone can contest in an elections or can even vote, the age at which someone can even become a minister. Go to the United Kingdom. You would find people at the ages of less than 30 who are serving in the what's the name?
Their House of Commons.
House of Commons. In the United States, that is why I use Obama as a classical example. Obama was a senator for how many years? Are you getting what I'm saying? He quickly became a president. Now, if it has to do with the kind of experience they want, then Obama shouldn't be the president of the United States of America.
Indeed, I'll come back to you for the second topic. But, Sakut, do you think this is a calculated attempt just to soil the integrity and the image of the president, and that it is of no basis? Obviously, as Mutala has just explained, it appears to me that it has no foundation.
Well, I mean, obviously, there is an element of mischief. I mean, this is politics, and you should expect that as the government is about to pick up, the president is forming his team, the opposition are looking for gray areas that they can hold on to. Unfortunately, they haven't been very participatory in many of the processes, and so they have very limited issues to hold on to. And so I'm not surprised that very easy targets like the young deputy ministers, are on the chopping board. But I also think that there is an element that is missing. For example, I think that kind of succession plan that political parties should have, that will groom
the
young people into leaders, that structure don't necessarily exist. I remember a year ago or 2 ago when the NDC founder said somewhere that one of the failures of the PNDC time was that they failed to groom younger people, which was really surprising considering that the PNDC came with very young people in the university who were just freshly brought out and given a post, like you just gave an example. And so it would be expected that these people will always want to groom the younger ones. But it is obvious that as they get older, they begin to take the mentality of the older ones, and there's another phenomenon that they call the godfatherism and the godsonism,
political godfathers.
So which I have my own interpretations too. I mean, it means that you have to have one so-called capo in the party, that you have to probably
to speak for you.
Call him every day and give him information, sometimes bogus information, you know.
Just to appear relevant.
You flatter him, you know, maybe some people even lick their boots, you know, those kind of things.
Virtually becoming a psychopath.
Then you are then adopted as a godson. And then you are then likely to qualify for certain favors. That is a phenomenon that many people are talking about. I've heard people talking about godsons being appointed, and they are disappointed because their godfathers are being ignored, and all these kind of arguments, which for me is very unhealthy. Okay. Because if that is the case, it means that we are not really a democratic Congress, and we are not really a party that came out of a younger generation. So for me, I'm really excited about the number of people. The fact that President Mahama has increased even far more the number of younger people. I mean, I expected nothing less, considering that I'm not sure if I'm wrong or right, but I think he's the youngest president that we have ever elected. Yeah. Right? Very good. And one of the reasons that people voted for President Mahama is because of his age. People call him the iPad president, isn't it? You know, there are people
ICT president.
There are some people who take issue with it, but I like him because he wants to identify with the generation.
He's modern.
I mean, these days even 2-year-old kids are having iPads, and you expect your president to go and be holding paper. What is wrong with you? He has to be like his people. He's able to empathize with the younger people. You see, he sits on the email. I'm sure the president is on Facebook because I've seen his Facebook page and all of that, which is good. People find reason to criticize that. But I only think that what you have to do is to have a structure, a formal structure in the political parties that then identifies the finest talents in the various parties, groom them for the future, irrespective of their allegiances in terms of the godfatherism. Because there are some people who will never get godfathers. Because how many godfathers are there? They are not enough.
I don't even know of the existence of these godfathers.
Well, they are not enough.
But let me go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, the discussion and the studio continues. Stay with me. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. If you're just tuning in, this is Majority Caucus Live on your multi-TV. I have this information. Let me take it once again. Dear valued customer, if you are experiencing unsynchronized video and audio signals, please switch off your box from the mains and switch it back again after a minute. If the problem persists, you may want to call us on 0302 211 680 681 682 683 684 685. Yeah. We would now turn our attention to the issue of warmongering. We have heard some captain retired military officers, more or less trying to give the impression that Ghana is an unstable country and perhaps the ground is fertile for a coup d'etat to take place. I mean, the pronouncement, for instance, by Captain Budu Kumsin, who is a member of UT, who works at UT Holdings, whether it's a shareholder or is a member of their board, really is irrelevant. But the fact is that his pronouncement were not as annoying and offensive as the justification offered by Imani Ghana. I get confused with this think tank. They know everything. The justification is that, hey, he's a security man. Imani, he deals with the security aspect of Imani Ghana. Imani knows everything in this world. Perhaps we should defer the governance of this country to Imani. Imani knows everything about war. They know everything about the economy. They know about health. When doctors are going on strike, they know when surgery, when co-joined twins are being separated at Konfanote Teaching Hospital, they know about it, how it should go. They have every idea. Law, petition, everything. They know everything. And now they know about coup too. Well, I have my guests in the studio. They will tell me more about it. But I am just fed up with this think tank called Imani. You have an experience in international relations. Every day, Imani. They know everything.
Well, I sometimes I get extremely uncomfortable when I want to comment on issues with regards to Imani. Franklin Kuju is a very good friend. Yesterday, I was on this program, I think PM Express. Yeah, PM Express. My very good friend, who was also called from Imani, was prescribing all manner of solutions. Some of them were...
Yeah, that's Bryce Simmons.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, sometimes demanding that the president, he didn't see a clear-cut structural, and those structural challenges, it was interesting because these are things that you don't just expect a president to solve through pronouncements, and they didn't see any pronouncement, and I asked whether they actually went through the budget. In fact, if they did go through the budget and the NDC manifesto, I mean, that's another matter. But before I come to that, on the issue of inexperienced people, and people think that age should be substituted with the experience, then Honorable Nituwul should not be the deputy minority leader.
He has
no
no
experience
experience.
at all. If you talk of experience within even minority, why is it that they are not made deputy? But when he was made the deputy minority leader, we all commended the NPP for doing that, because we think that at least they were beginning to learn from NDC that young people must be given the opportunity to also serve. If that is the case, I don't think that he should be the deputy minority leader. He might have done some work in other fields. But as far as governance of this country is concerned, how many times has he been in parliament? Yet they overlooked experienced members of parliament, whether in terms of the number of times they have been in parliament, the age, and gave it to him. They didn't say anything about. We had professors who went and purchased about 3 million seedlings of mango.
All the knowledge.
Is that the kind of wisdom they want us to have?
Very
and I
pathetic.
think that we need to move away from this. And let's try to delink politics from our professional work. Sometimes I just think that people just want to be recognized.
Okay.
On the issue of Imani, as to conflict and they understand everything, I don't think that Imani has the capacity to do some of the things they claim they are doing. How resourceful is Imani? In as much as I agree that, yes, they have the democratic right to also make comments and analysis on certain issues. I'm not questioning the intellectual ability of individuals who are found at Imani, but I'm asking whether they are resourced enough to do some of the things. They could come out with surveys and all manner of things. That statement made by that gentleman, so-called captain, whatever, I think that is an embarrassment, a disgrace to the military profession or the security, because it simply doesn't make sense. Such irresponsible statements made elsewhere, and those countries are plunged into chaos and anarchy as we see today. It is not only that man. You had the NPP Ireland chairman who also came out.
It's a retired
There was another man,
officer.
I think one of the banks, Data Bank something, who is
Ken Ofurata. Yeah, he did his
also made
earlier this
another
morning.
reckless and irresponsible statement. And those statements are statements that can plunge this nation to chaos. But one simple advice we have for them is that the security agencies of this country are so professional. The military, the police, the prisons, the fire service, all the security agencies are professional enough, understand the kind of politicking that we're doing. You cannot force your mandate on the good people of this country. You realize that when the MPP lost the elections in 2012, they claimed initially the battle was the Lords. From the Lords to the streets. From the streets to Obrasport. From Obrasport to the court. And you know one interesting thing? They even went to court, haven't filed their petition, came and held a press conference, so-called astute lawyers, knowing very well that what they were doing was an affront and disrespect to the judiciary system and the legal system of this country. Held a press conference and told everybody. When Justice Pega purportedly gave the statement he made to the media, you had a former Minister for Justice and Attorney General, who I was here with, said that what he did was wrong. Meanwhile, the flag bearer, the running mate, and the chairman, they didn't just give it to me, that they pronounced, they told everybody and subsequently gave copies. You had another leading member who said that if the Supreme Court doesn't rule in their favor, all die be die. I think that the judges are watching they are listening. What the MPP is simply doing is that they are trying to force and intimidate the judges. That is precisely what they are doing. I have absolute confidence in the judicial system of this country, and I know that such things cannot force them. Look, you are going to court with evidence. Court is not like I sit on TV or on radio and make all manner of allegations and statements. You are going to court with evidence. Today, you realize that even when the Supreme Court ruled on the PowerPoint thing, the lead counsel of they were trying to, you know what they are trying to do? Just to give Dr. Baume the opportunity, he presented and shine. I want to take this opportunity to tell people, they've even told people in Tamale and other places that they should start wearing white. when the case itself has not commenced. And the impression is created as if they are going to court today, the case will begin today, the case will be concluded today, Nanado will be declared
and
the leader.
On television.
Absolutely, this is the kind of information they give to their people.
I just want you to add the effect of televising this in life.
Yes, and you know, another misconception. I mean, they create the impression as if the NDC was against televising the look. I am happy for this opportunity that they will be exposed the more, so that the people of this country would understand. I'll give a classical example. There is a place in my constituency, Nanton Kurugu. Nanton Kurugu NDC performed abysmally. MPP won the both parliamentary and presidential. The parliamentary and presidential, we didn't do well at all. Yeah, they said we rigged in that particular place. It's part of the.
It's part of the
I'm telling you. Nanton Kurugu, and that's what I'm mentioning.
Even when they won.
Yeah, they won. In fact, the votes we got in Nanton Kurugu in 2012 elections, this ended elections, was lesser as compared to what we got in 2008. Both presidential and parliamentary.
Yet
it is also captured. I am aware that some of the things they start in other places, Tamale, and then just, look, they will be exposed the more in the law court. The law court is not radio station. The law court is not Obra Sport. The law court is not the streets of Accra. That is not the law court. The law court is a place where you must come with evidence.
Just
incontrovertible evidence to prove to the whole world. And now that they are doing, you know, when they create the impression, they are just playing to the consciences and emotions of the Ghanaian people. That yes, we want it to be it will be telecast. And I think that this is an opportunity that the good people of this country would have missed. Maybe my only sad aspect of it is that the time that they would have been covering my vetting, unfortunately, myself and Dr. Yakubu were not lucky. But we were vetted first and second. Ours was still at the law court. I am very happy that it is not about, you see, and I can understand. You see, Nkrumah described the Buze Dankwa tradition. These are not my West. These are Nkrumah's West. And let no one say that Mutala, that there are people with narrow intellectual and political horizons, but they always see themselves as the leading stars. That is precisely how Nkrumah described them. And that is one thing that they have demonstrated over and over again. I think that this country must rise up and speak against such statements. When there is coup today, nobody will be a beneficiary. And for all you know, the very people who are calling, they will be the first victims. When there is coup today, I think that we have come of age democratically. At least we have practiced this democracy since 1992. And we are a subject of envy in the global community, particularly in the sub-Saharan Africa, that we have demonstrated this, that you have the same electoral commission who indeed gave power, if you like, democratically people won and transited from one political party to another. And I think that if there is nothing we can all jealously guide is the democratic process. So if someone comes out to make statement that Ghana is ripe for coup, I said everything in Ghana has come to a standstill. There is Dumso. They have completely forgotten. They have completely forgotten that we lived under Dumso for one whole year. 1 whole year. And you know why? That 1 year we're living under Dumso, it was not only limited to Accra and other places. It was nationwide. We see today the people in Upper East, Northern region, Upper West, they don't experience the rate at which we experience it today. And there is an explanation why we are where we are. I have listened to people who also said that government is investing in many other things is because government is insensitive. No matter how insensitive the NDC government is, at least it's better than buying gold ornaments to hang on the necks of ministers that the president himself indeed sacked for non-performance. You hang and I hang. I think that is not a judicious use of the resources of this country. And I think the people of this country must speak against such statements. They do not help anybody. They do not help the democracy, even the political parties they represent. And I was shocked that as a political party, the NPP has not distanced itself from that statement. I don't think that
we
that is the
wait
kind
to
of
see if they do. If they don't, we'll come hard at them and remind them of their political irresponsibility. But Sakud, some of these commentators have been called for questioning, and that has raised several eyebrows. I need to know your views for that. But let me activate my phone lines for. I'm sure my viewers want to join in 030221170124. Keep the calls coming. Yeah, Sakud.
If I can just make, if you can give me a minute,
quickly.
Just say that, for example, and it's very important about the young people. It's very important to just say that young people, especially those who have been appointed, I'm happy because young people are more likely to challenge old methods and norms. Don't forget that some of the things that are keeping us backward and stagnated are old norms and methods. Older people are animists. They believe in all these kind of things, so they want to keep to these things. Younger people are likely to challenge them, which is good. Okay. Younger people are more likely to take risks, and the kind of challenges we are facing today, if you can't take a risk, you can't solve them.
You need
and younger people are impetuous. That is not circumspect. The old people will think 10 minutes before taking action. The young man will think 2 minutes, which is all good. So exactly. So on that note, I think it's good that there are many young ministers. But having said that, I am not surprised. Unlike the Honorable who is surprised that the MPP did not distance themselves from those statements. I'm not surprised. Why? Because I think it's a whole conspiracy. It's all part of the grand agenda. Because why?
Let me pick this caller quickly. I'll come back to you. Hello, Baba. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Baba, you're on air.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Host, and good evening to Murtala. This is Babs.
Okay.
NDC Bonga.
Good evening.
And good evening to Caucus. I believe that today the Supreme Court on radio and television has really exposed the lies of the MPP. Had it not been this live telecast, we would have been hearing different commentators everywhere telling us negative things that have not happened in the Supreme Court. But God willing, Ghanaians voted for the legitimate president of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And some people think that with the help of Supreme Court, they are going to be declared as president. And they have forgotten that the history of Ghana shows that it is the electoral commissioner that conducts election. And in Cote d'Ivoire, it is the Supreme Court that declares someone a winner. But they have forgotten that Ghana Supreme Court don't declare winners, but rather it is the electoral commission. Once we are there, they said the battle was the Lord, and the Lord spoke on behalf of President Mahama, and he won. And now they said that it is at the court. As it was in the days of the Lord, and President Mahama won.
Okay, Baba, thank you. There are other callers online. Thank you very much for your views. Very interesting views there. I have Kofi. Hello, Kofi.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, Kofi, you are there.
MPP for now, no one hello. So I am there. And what happened at Supreme Court today? All of us saw it. Whenever they come to radio, they just black. But today, all of us saw what happened. We Ghanaians, we tested NDC and we tested MPP. And we see the difference and we give the mandate back to the NDC. But I don't know what is their problem. They are still insisting. I wanted to use the platform and ask, is Ghana for only MPP?
Never.
But why are they so insisting that they want the mandate of Ghanaians? But yet, we voted for the NDC. So you should tell them they should pack their things and stay somewhere and do their things well.
I'm sure the people of Ghana will speak at the end of the trial. Thank you for your views. I have hello, Babs from WA. Hello.
Thank you very much, Ali. I appreciate the work that you and Mutara and the Shaku are doing there. Thank you very much. This is Babs, another Babs from WA this time around. Yeah, I think, in fact, I'm full of joy with this case being telecast live on our premier radio TV station, GTV. In fact, as my other Babs have said, we would have been hearing all kinds of concocted stories and whatever. But you see one interesting thing. When Sir John was interviewed, Sir John said, whenever their lawyer wants to speak, the microphones will go up. This is a lie. We watch it.
Even when everybody was watching, he still twisted the facts.
This time around. Yes, thank you very much. In fact, I am so happy. I'm so happy. Look, tomorrow I will be the first. If I were in Accra, I would have been the first.
Okay, thank you very much, Babs. I have my final caller, Ibrahim from WA. Hello, Ibrahim.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening, Ibrahim.
Yeah, I want to thank my brother Murtala. This is Ibrahim calling from WA West. Today, I'm very grateful to the NDC. You see, the time that they are ready to go to the court, even in WA, they are starting removing all the dirty clothes like the Jong. I want everybody to hear that. We, the northern sector or upper west region, they don't have a MP in any constituency. So now, if God talks to Nana Akufo-Addo is a winner. So MPP can they rule Ghana for us? But I want to talk to my brother Murtala. I wanted Murtala contact line to call him.
Okay, I'm sure Murtala will give you that after the show. Thank you very much for your views. Yeah, you are making a point.
Yes, I was saying that I am not surprised at all that the MPP as a party or the leadership didn't come out to contradict what had been said. I mean, I don't think this is more volatile than what Kennedy Japan said right here in Ghana. Didn't they hail him, brought him out, did a jamboree and a party, and said he was a hero? Somebody even said he was his godfather or his mentor. Nana Komia,
a former
deputy. Said he was his mentor. Correct.
Said he was his mentor. But Freddie Blay also was on record saying he would kill his mother for political power. He's on record. So
the wife owns Daily Guide.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, I even now Bray himself is the editor, or he himself is at the office there. He's working there. But he's jobless now.
No wonder their editorial but anyway, portion is always against the government.
You see, this is something that happened under our own nose. And they hailed him. So if a man sitting in UK, and we all know how these parties work, the man at the UK there didn't just sit down there on his own and wrote that statement.
Let's be fair. Nyao Tamaklo, I mean, was full in flight, condemning this act in no uncertain terms.
But that is just one person who don't even have a leadership position in the party.
He's a leading member of the MPP.
But perhaps he was not part of the conspiracy. Perhaps. But what I'm trying to say is that this is a statement that has been largely endorsed. Look, Ken Ofori-Atta is he not one of the financiers of Akufo-Addo?
Yeah.
Was he not the one who set the tone for all this coup talk?
He sank much of his money.
Was he not the one who started this whole coup mongering? He started this coup mongering.
Rumor has it that he was penciled down for governor of Bank of Ghana.
Not he was penciled down. He had already, in fact, he was holding his credentials. I was waiting to walk in.
I see.
And he woke up and it was a bad dream. So you see, he started it on an intellectual note in a so-called lecture and gave hints. Then Gabi Ochudako came and wrote a long article, paraphrasing and rephrasing and emphasizing what Ken Ofori had said. Then that Captain whatever,
Budu Kumsing
also went, because he's a soldier man or old soldier, he just spoke in a militarized way. And that guy in the UK, I think that the
guy in the UK was also a captain retired military officer.
Yes. So for me, I think they are preparing the grounds because the people, the MPP guys know the outcome of this case already before it is. Because they know. They know they won't win it.
Is coup possible in Ghana?
No, it's not. For me, it's not unless you are naive. But you see, it is coup mongering, warmongering. It's all part of the psychological warfare. They are trying to connect with their supporters. Don't forget that all this struggle is about how they can justify and rationalize their supporters how they lost this election.
Yeah.
So these are people who claim they are coup phobia. You remember? They look at it, they said NDC is a coup party, patapa, because it came from coup. You see, they have told us in all our history that these are guys who started the first coup in Ghana. Yeah. You know, they infiltrated those so-called intellectuals, those that NLM or whatever.
Yeah, NLM.
Then they then overthrew the government of Nkrumah and formed NLC. So they are the same people. So coup is part of them, but they have pretended all this while that they are anti-coup. How can you wait 2012, 2013? You even the NDC don't mention, nobody in the NDC mentions coup. Even JJ don't mention coup again in his speeches.
No booming.
But now you, the man who is sitting in a bank, or you own a bank, and because your cousin wants to become president, and you invested so much money, you wanted to recoup it.
At all costs.
At all costs. So you say, coup. Anyway, for me, I know that their statements don't carry weight at all. It is only their own supporters that get excited by these words. I mean, of course, we those who come from the revolutionary background with our party and our this thing, I think we are already militant enough. When they say coup, just look at them and laugh because we know that they can't do anything at all. But they must be careful because some of the utterances you make, it can breach the law.
You think calling them for questioning by the national security was in order?
It is. Because, my friend, I remember when Anthony Cabo, my very good friend Anthony Cabo, a tape was played about him and he opened his mouth ajar, he was yapping and said that they were bringing some mercenaries to come
from Mali and
Sierra People said that he must be called and questioned. But national security didn't call him at the time. They said, oh no, don't worry, let them try. People said, no, he must be called and questioned. They didn't call him. And when all these things took place, the MPP guys took it for granted that they can just say anything they want. Because after all, look at these kind of serious things, they didn't even call the guy for questioning. You see, so I think it's a good thing that at this point, especially now we have gotten a point where we're in the Supreme Court, and these guys are out there doing let my vote count, doing what do you call it, ordinary Ghanaians, and all these things. As part of the orchestration, you must call them, question them. When you see that they have gone against the law, set an example.
Unfortunately,
set an example.
Running out of time. Yeah, Mutala, quickly, in just a minute, so we wrap up.
Well, what I simply would say is that if Ghana is the only country that we all have, some of us, unlike many of you people who had their education outside Ghana, I mean, we have so much confidence in the country. And at any point in time, I have always lived in Ghana. We all live in Ghana. Even if you think that if there is coup, you leave the country. Yet, at least even if your immediate family is not in Ghana, you have your relations in Ghana.
Definitely.
Our democracy is still young, I agree, but it's young and it's growing. And Ghana is a very proud nation now, regardless what. I think that many investors would want to come to Ghana because Ghana seems to be a stable country in the midst of turbulence. I've done some work on conflicts in the West African sub-region, particularly Liberia, Sierra Leone. And it's amazing that how conflict has actually done to those countries. The extent to which even after the conflict in Liberia, they could not boast of 200-kilometer tarred road. That is not the kind of nation we want to build. So I think that I'm just calling on the consciences of the leadership of the NPP, that at least they should tame some of their members who think that the only language that they can use is coup. But I trust in the objectivity and the fairness of the judiciary of this country. They are doing that ostensibly to create some psyche that judges you must rule in accordance with. This nation belongs to all of us. And I've listened to some of them who say that Prof. Mills lost elections to Prof. Mills just by 40,000. And I wonder whether these are the so-called are still lawyers, because the Constitution itself knew that you could win the election just by one person. And they talked as if 40,000 admitting was a privilege to the people of this country. It was a right.
I must be very
and if I can use the opportunity to thank all those who came to my vetting and those who wish me well.
Of course. And we'll be at your the swearing-in. Or you'll be sworn in.
It will be at the Flagstaff House.
I've been told that there's some party somewhere. Is that true?
Well, I'm a social democrat.
Anyway, we'll end tonight's show on this note, and do make a date with me on Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.